So I feel like when you talk about toxic workplace culture and how you can sort of like back up, so often when people talk about that, sort of the solution is you got to fire this person, like this person is toxic and there's no going back. Do you think that there is a place for redemption at least sometimes when you're in that really nasty place? By I mean, like, I understand having that done internally is probably not possible, but can you bring someone in to facilitate that? Like,
Absolutely. I have to believe, being, the optimistic person that I am, incorrigibly optimistic according to some, that none of us are beyond redemption. Are there certain, like Harry Potter reference, unforgivable sins? There are, yeah. But you have to try. Exhaust all your options. If it's not going to work internally, and sometimes it can't, you need that outside neutral opinion that no one has a connection to. Bring them in, bring the experts
yeah.
in. And then only then, when you've tried the one-on-one intervention, like the group team thing, bringing someone else in, really, if it's a skill, like a learning block, and doing a development plan and trying to figure out where the disconnect is. If you've done all of that, exhausted everything, that's when you have to make that call. But there's a certain things that are, unredeemable offenses. Yes.
Well, yeah, I would definitely. I
Right.
think there's
But
yeah, the person
that
who's
goes
like
without
stealing
saying. But
ketamine. I don't think we have to talk about.
no, we do not.
Giving that.
That's not what this is
Um,
about. But definitely, I think there's a time to call in extra help, right? And to really make that something that you work towards together. So it really comes back to that too. But you have to, both parties have to be willing, right? So if someone's not going to be invested in the solution, it's not going to work.
yeah. Well,
It's never easy. And that's why I'm not in management. Like that's where
right.
Caitlin comes in. She is a manager and she is leadership development, and she can speak to that beautifully. And I do so in my way. But my focus is more so on the support staff.
And I think that, it's impossible to sort of separate all those things from each other. Like everything ties in together. So when we talk about toxic people, one of the things I hear a lot is like, yeah, this person's totally toxic, but they're so knowledgeable, like I really need them. And so I always sort of wonder, what made them that way? Like there are some people that are just miserable, wretched people, but for the most part, people who are miserable and wretched at work, like there may be some work related reasons. And
Well, yeah.
when you follow, I don't even remember where I saw this, but it was talking about employees and the things that make employees engaged and disengaged. And so they start the job and everybody's really excited at the start. And like, if they don't get what they need in terms of feedback and empowerment, which is something I want to circle back to, because that's really what you do, then you start to get disengaged. Like it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And nobody cares about my suggestions anyway. Nothing's going to change. And then you become disinterested. And then you become actively toxic. So it's like
Right.
somebody shows
So
up
it
on day one.
starts like this, but then it shifts and then it spirals.
Yeah.
Right. So you start that cyclical, like keeps happening, and then it just builds and turns into that maelstrom, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely the other, I think the other flip side of that coin though is toxic positivity, right? Good vibes only, leave your
Mhm.
stuff at home.
Yeah.
Well, that's
That's
not
great.
fair, because we're human, and sometimes I'm just gonna have a day, like today
Right.
is my Friday, but it's some of my friends, this is their Monday, and they're heading into work for the weekend. And so taking that into consideration, where everyone's coming from, we don't know each other's stories, we're learning them, which is exciting. I'm really glad to be getting to know you. But what makes you tick, I don't know yet. and
Yeah.
and that's part of it too, is that willingness, that openness, that investiture, that authenticity, to
Yeah.
being, when you're, present, and you're actually actively listening. So I can go back to the beginning of our conversation and pull things back, because I am here with you. Like I am really present. And that is a skill to learn, and you have to practice it. Muscle memory is a thing. You've got to work it.